All right. Hey, everybody. Just going live now. It's a half hour earlier, so it might take a little bit of time for people to trickle in. And as always, I'm going to mirror my video to make sure you can read these things, or unmirror it. Cool. Great. Now you can see. Okay, great. You can see okay. So this will be seen on YouTube later as well. All right, and there's the first user. Great, thanks so much. Oh no, don't do this filter. I don't know what you're doing. Ugh. No, don't do this. There. All right, cool. Hi, how's it going? Good to see you. Hey, Ladybug. No, don't do that. This filter is the worst. I wish I could turn it off. Just want to see people to stay. There you go. Cool. Great. Got a couple people here already. Hi, good to see you. Welcome to Seeker Sanctuary. And for everybody who's going to be joining on YouTube later, good to see you. These are normally, I'm changing the time, so they're going to be 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday from here on out. A little bit later was just too hard on the family and the kids. So, as always, feel free to ask any questions about the Hermetic Memory Wall, or about what we have up on the Tree of Life there. And the thing for today, I always like to have a divination type system. What about a mixture of Bibliomancy and the I Ching? So if you want one of those, just let me know. For the I Ching, this is new from Llewellyn, and it is just put a favorite number in or say I Ching, and I'll draw an I Ching card for you. Or if you want to do Bibliomancy, think of your question, and the books I have the Bibliomance from are Marc Chagall's version of the Bible, which is beautiful pictures, Old Testament, the Hermetica, the King James version of the New Testament, Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman, the Spirits book, collected by Kardec, which is one of the most important spiritual books in my life, as well as the Nag Hammadi scriptures. So, if you want to do some divination, feel free to select one of the books you want to bibliomance, or just say I Ching, and I'll draw an I Ching card for you. Let's see, this thing keeps doing this filter every time I touch the screen, even though I hate it. I'm just trying to bring out the comments thing so you can all see it. TikTok, I do hate you. Hi, Father Mom, how you doing? All right. So yeah, let me know if you want any divination here, or what, is that supposed to be me? Is that what this thing does? Oh my god, this is the worst. Why won't you let me turn it off? There. Jeez. It's terrible. Oh, every time I touch the screen. All right, so we'll stop worrying about that. Oh my god, these are terrible. The AI revolution will not be pretty. That's for sure. Divination, Father, Mom, great. What do you want? The I Ching? Probably, if you just say divination, I think I'm gonna go with the I Ching. As soon as this thing will let me turn it off. Because our divination today is Bibliomancy. Who is the Spiritist book by? Okay, the Spiritist book is really close to my heart. It is, I can't join this motherfucker off. So, the Spiritist book was collected by this guy, Allan Kardec, who was a French, it even gets in the way of my books, who was a French educational theorist. But he started hearing about, oh my god, please turn off this thing. Okay, I'm done touching it, so it stops fucking with me. So, he was during the time of the Spiritist movement, and the spiritualism movement. So like the table tapping started with the Fox sisters in New England, and that spread across the world. People started communicating with the spirits, and it became a parlor game that lots of people would do. You'd have table tapping or these other ways where spirits would come in and like talk to your party, and it became a party trick. And Kardec saw this happen at a party in France, and he's like, well, why don't we ask these spirits real questions? And so he figured out methods to either, a lot of people are doing automatic writing, there are ways to make it select a a certain letter. It would take a while, but you could do it. And so basically what his genius was to all the major mediums in the world, to hundreds of different people communicating to the spirit world, he sent them a letter telling them to ask ask those spirits the big questions, like the big ones: who we are, why we're here, what's with the God thing, like what's evil. And what amazed him was the answers he got back from the spirits. Not only did they mostly match up to each other, they were good. They were really great answers. And anyone who studies the history of the great religious books that we have, the Spirits book stands up as a really beautiful piece of wisdom. So I haven't done a video on this. It's a little close to my heart and it's a little esoteric. I know people are going to care. But I did a study with this in Colorado when our kid was still young, and it was amazing. I think it's one of the most helpful spiritual books I've ever seen. So if you want a divination from that, just let me know. Yes, and now I will drag this out to... Oh, don't do this thing. Every time I try to pull out the comment section, it does this terrible filter. Sorry, you all have to keep hearing about this. But who is it? Ugh, that looks terrible. Anyway, so we will just ignore it for now. I just wish it's easier to hear comments when I pull out the thing. That's why I keep trying to get it. Okay. Yes, the algorithm is playing with me. So, Father Ram, you were the first person that asked for a divination. So, and for everyone who's just joining us, we got 10 people now. Great. Tonight, the divination is either a card from the Ching Oracle, which I think is a very cool way to do it. I guess I'll read from the little book that they have here. This is brand new to me, this Oracle. I'm probably going to be hanging them on the wall soon, so we won't be doing this long, but you know, the I Ching is my favorite divination system. You could also choose to do Bibliomancy. The books to choose to do Bibliomancy, just shout out the book name and I'll do a piece of Bibliomancy divination for you. But there is Mark Chagall's Bible, there's the Hermetica, there's the King James Version of the Bible, there's Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, the Spiritist book collected by Alan Kardec, and then the Nag Hammadi scriptures as well. So, for Father Ram, who's the first person to ask, whatever your question is, we will ask the Oracle. So the first one will go, Eshu, thank you, spirits of the West, thank you to the spirits of, thank you to the spirits of the South, thank you to the spirits of the West, thank you to the spirits of the North, thank you to the spirits of the East, thank you to the Oracle, the answers, thank you to the spirits above and the spirits below. And your card, Father Mom, is, okay, number 57. So, oh, that's a double. Oh, that's good. A double is especially good in the I Ching. If you have a, let me show it to you again. If you have a double of it, it's like doubling the energy, because this is, so this is the symbol for the oldest son, Sun, and you have it twice. And so it's like all of that energy. You know, there's only 8 trigrams. You know, there's 2 trigrams in a hexagram, and so you got one of the 8 double trigrams. This is the sun. I'm sorry, not the oldest son, oldest daughter, wind. So above is wind, below is wind. Ceaseless wind, small changes over time. Wind has no form or substance, yet over time it shapes even the hardest stone. It penetrates and wears down the creations of man as well as nature. These changes can't be seen from day to day, only over the vastness of time. So too, lasting influence over the people requires time and ceaseless small efforts to overcome suspicion and mistrust. Proceed with gentleness. So for you, and whatever your question was, think of the wind. Think of the amazing power of the wind to be subtle, but also to be ferocious. My wife is a wind woman. Oh yeah, if you're into Ifa. And it is powerful, but it's also not easy, those energies. So yeah, manifesting the wind, thinking about the wind might be the answer to your question, Father Mom. Thank you for joining. Okay, I'm gonna try again to see people, to pull out the comments thing. I wish that this filter, that when I touch the screen wouldn't change everything. Okay. Okay, so yes, let me know what book you want. The Hermetica, please, for Rachel Nichols, 731. Okay, this is my edition of the Hermetica that I think is very nice. And, you know, the crazy part is, the whole Hermetica itself is this book is all notes. There's only 90 pages. Where's the first one? The entire Hermetica that changed world history is just this 90 pages. It's wild. It's wild how small it is. So for your question, Rachel, we will go through here. Here it is. I'll go with the first note I have. Irreverence is mankind's greatest wrong against the gods. To do good is the gods' affair. To be reverent is mankind's. And the demons is to assist. I think that can also be translated as daemons, like the helper spirits. Whatever else humans dare to do, out of error or daring or compulsion, which they call fate, or ignorance, all these the gods hold guiltless. Irreverence alone is subject to judgment. Isn't that interesting? It's almost like it's saying it doesn't matter how hard you're trying to be good. We really can't be good. We're not even high enough to that level. All we can do is be reverent to the good forces out there. And maybe it means also just not worry about it too much. I mean, we're doing the best we can, and our compulsions are what they call fate. So this drive that we have to do stuff seems like it's forced upon us. So whatever else humans dare to do, all these the gods hold guiltless. Irreverence alone is subject to judgment. Hopefully that means something to you. To me, what it is saying is to be reverent to everything out there. I mean, the older I get, the more I'm into panpsychism, that it's all alive and you should apologize to bicycles and telephone poles when you bump into them. And now they have kids and we read a lot of fairy tales. I mean, the main lesson of fairy tales is be polite. Be polite to everything and everybody and everything that approaches you until they stop being polite to you. You know, I tell our kids, if someone shoves you in the playground, you can shove them back as hard as you want, or harder. But until they start it, you never start it. So be polite as you can to every single creature you meet. Not only, but also because there's a good chance that colony of ants will one day save you when you need to separate all the pearls from the grain in some weird rich king's granary. So anyway, irreverence alone is subject to judgment. So be reverent. That's a really nice one. That's a deep thought. So what page is that? Oh, I just lost it. Bring it back. I can picture it. That is in it's in Discourse 16 in the Corpus Hermeticum that I'm using. It's line 11, the irreverence. So let's see if I can pull out the comments thing this time without making the TikTok filter come on that makes this stupid picture of me. There it goes again. I hate this thing, and I can't see your comments nearly as well. That's what really sucks about it. So you have to keep listening to this. TikTok is a terrible app and platform. But it allowed me to find you, so, God bless it. The algorithm giveth, and the algorithm taketh away. Blessed be the algorithm. Nines are significant to you. I just did my nines video. Nines are great. I really like that quote. Zoroaster says the number 9 is sacred and attains the summit of perfection, which is interesting to hear from the chief Parsi. More people are here. What we're doing tonight, besides, feel free to ask any questions about the Hermetic Memory Wall, about mysticism, or this Tree of Life. But also, if you want to do divination, we have Ching oracle cards, and we also have the books to select from for Bibliomancy are Mark Chagall's version of the Old Testament, the Hermetica, the King James version of the Bible, the Walt Whitman, Leaves of Grass, the Spiritist book by Kardec, and the Nag Hammadi scriptures. You just bought that copy of it. Great, good for you. And thank you for the love and light. As Athera, oh yes, please, divination sounds good. All right, if people just say divination, I'm going with the I Ching cards because that was my first thought for the night. Because the I Ching, to me, is the pinnacle of the oracular systems, or at least most helpful to me. So, for As Athera, we will ask the oracle. For your question, is this card, just jumped out, number 18. So you have the the oldest daughter, or oldest son at the top, and the youngest daughter at the bottom. So 18. What is that in this? I'm curious about this oracle. It's and how she writes these as well. So yes. So above is is mountain, and below is wind, and the name of it is work on what has been spoiled. Wind blows against the mountain, repair is needed. Wind blowing against the base of the mountain can cause much damage. There is no place for the wind to go, as the mountain is immovable. Thus, trees and dwelling places are ruined. In such a case, there is nothing to be done but repair what has been spoiled, working carefully to avoid weakness and vulnerabilities at this time. So that seems like a pretty clear-cut one. Doing small things now for repair, but you're not trying to move the mountain, and you're not trying to stop the wind, or anything so grandiose. You're trying to repair what has been spoiled and work carefully to avoid weaknesses and vulnerabilities. So, the wind isn't going anywhere, the mountain isn't going anywhere, but you can work on the trees and the habitations that are there. So it seems like a careful work kind of one. And so this is number 18. You can also look that up online for the various versions of that card, different people's ideas on it. Mona's been on Healing Journey Scene 777 a lot. That's a really good one. That's really lucky, I feel like. Tyler96 says 88. I assume that's asking for an I Ching Oracle card. So, Tyler88, thank you to the Oracle. And I ask you for the card for Tyler88. Your hexagram is 41. So, actually, so you can see that. So again, you have the mountain on top, and then below is the oldest daughter, Twee Lake. So let's look that up. So yeah, it's thinking about the tarot or the I Ching through the family thing about it. There's a father and a son. There's a father and a mother, and then 3 sons and 3 daughters. It really helps to get it, because so often the how families work is a as above, so below kind of situation. So yeah, you have the mountain below, you have the mountain above, below is the lake. This one is soon, the name of it is decrease. A lake below the mountain, a simple sacrifice. Evaporation decreases water in the lake and disperses it upon the mountain. It is the nature of the lake to give of itself for the benefit of something greater. When one makes a simple sacrifice for the well-being of others, the decrease brings no shame. Letting go of what has fulfilled its usefulness is another form of decrease that leads to success. That's a really clear one. I suspect you know exactly what that one means. But it's something about letting go with somebody else or letting go of something in your life, and how that decrease will actually help fill up your lake. That there's a simple sacrifice to be made, and it might be less of a sacrifice and more of a letting go of an attachment that isn't serving in a relationship or for yourself. So yeah, that is number 41 for you. Isabel, you want a card? Yes. And for the new people who are joining us, tonight is I Ching divination or Bibliomancy. So feel free to ask for a I Ching card, which is probably is very powerful. But also you could ask for Mark Chagall's version of the Bible, the Hermetica, the King James version of the Bible, Leaves of Grass by Whitman, the Spiritist book by Kardec, or the Nag Hammadi by who knows who wrote the Nag Hammadi scriptures. This one is for... Oh, that's spot on for you, Sarah. Okay, so for Isabel, awesome. Also, how do I read the hexagrams? For the hexagrams, you build them. Thank you to the Oracle. Card for Isabel. You read the hexagram. You create the hexagrams from the bottom up, which I was doing opposite for like my whole first couple years using them years ago. Then. So, for instance, for yours, the way you look at them and think about the relationship before you even start reading about the card is that there are 2 trigrams here, 3 lines each. And so the bottom one in this case is the well, here, let me get the card up so I can easier. Yeah. So at the bottom 3 lines are the youngest son, and so the top 3 lines are the oldest daughter. So that's wind on top and thunder on bottom. It's always screws up your head because this bottom one is the sun. It has only one male line. It only has one yang line. So it's actually the opposite. Whatever it has the least energy of, it's that one. So this top one has 2 male lines and 1 female line, and it's a female. And so you start from the bottom, it's the oldest female. And so this one has 1 male line, and it's a woman, it's a sister, and it's at the bottom, so it is the oldest sister. So it's funny. It every time I look at it, so you have to like inverse the gender stuff in your head. So anyway, this is number 42, and so the name of the hexagram is increase, which is a good one. Above is wind, below is thunder. Wind moves the thunder. Cooperation brings increase. The wind piles thunder clouds upon each other, increasing the storm's strength and moving it across the sky. Without the wind above, thunder's energy would dissipate. In the same way, the people are strengthened when those above act on their behalf with no thought of their own ambition. This leads to a time of increased prosperity and progress when difficult problems can be faced together and overcome. So it sounds like working with other people to create your increase. No thoughts of your own ambition, increased prosperity and progress with facing difficult problems together. So it seems like joining up. Sometimes the I Ching says, no, go your own way, and sometimes it says it's a good time to join. It seems like it's a good time to join for whatever your question was. All right. All right, 1,000 likes. Thank you, everybody. Okay, let's see if I can finally pull out this comment thing, because it's so much easier to read it that way. And it's just whenever I touch this screen, it does that stupid transform thing. Sorry. This is just not a well-designed app. Great. So, hey, Woodstock, good to see you. Good. So people are liking the readings. Great. An I Ching reading for Mila? Okay, awesome. Mila? Great, we can do that. And for anybody new, there's also these books we can Bibliomancy too. Bibles and Walt Whitman and things like that. So, for Mila, feel free to correct my pronunciation. Oh, the first card's a little off. Okay. Card for Mila, I think to the Oracle. And feel free, as always, to ask questions about the Hermetic Memory Wall or mysticism in general. We'll see what I got, or the Tree of Life. Okay, 55. So, here, let's start doing it this way and having it out before I show it. Okay, so here is 55, and above with those 3 lines, so it's inverted. You have thunder above, so it's the one of the brothers, and then you have Li below. She's the sister. She's a sister of fire, so I know, I like her. I feel connected to her. So you have thunder above fire. Lightning and thunder, a brief period of success. And the name of the entire hexagram is abundance. It's usually a good thing. Lightning and thunder are fleeting phenomena, sometimes occurring faster than we can fully perceive them. So too does success sometimes burst upon the scene only to quickly vanish. One should enjoy times of unexpected abundance and try not to hold on to them or grow discouraged if the abundance wanes. Not everyone is meant for lasting success, but the periods of brilliance are gifts nonetheless. Okay, well, I don't have much to add to that one. That one probably seems pretty clear. Hopefully that relates to what your question was. But yeah, success wanes. I mean, I just know that for me personally, I'm feeling that a little bit. I had that one hit video, 2 months ago, and, now my views are back down to what they were before. And it's, am I wasting my time here? Or, I don't know, it's a little bit weird to go from that high and then come back down, and all of a sudden I put out stuff, and then stuff like really close to my heart, and it hardly gets seen by anybody anymore. It's it's a tough app. And if you want to follow me on YouTube, in case this app gets banned, feel free. Or join the Discord. I haven't mentioned that yet on this time, but I really love the Discord. Seeker Sanctuary. It's a really pleasant place to talk to nice people and about this kind of stuff. So I've really been enjoying it so far, and it's growing really well. So anyway, Mila is number 55 for you. Enjoy the abundance while it lasts, but nothing lasts forever, and we'll all be dead, soon enough. So, turn off my effects. What do you mean turn off my effects? I don't have any effects on. This one is just floating over the screen with no way to turn it off. I'm looking at all the buttons. This is just a terrible... the link to the Discord is in my Linktree. So I don't know if you can do that with the live right now, but my Linktree has everything in it, including my thing I'm most proud of. My queer book is out again. After 6 years, I got this republished on Amazon, and it's about the history of, well, a word I'm not going to say because you get banned for it. It's the history of how this became a medicine in North America because of the AIDS crisis. And so this is about Reagan. It's based on Angels in America, which I think is one of the best plays ever done in the US. And it's a graphic novel about queer history and how the queers led to the birth of medical this. And I'm really proud of it. And now I'm working... that's actually free on my website too. It's if you just go to lexpelger.com, you can get that book for free. There's a PDF of this book, my science book, about how we figured out the structure of the CBN cannabinoid right around the World War II. And so this is the best piece of science writing I've ever done. I use elephants to describe it. That's why I have an elephant here. And so this will be hopefully up for sale as a print in a couple of weeks once I get done reviewing it and getting it formatted. But it's always been free on my website because I want these to be out there. They're science writing. It's good for it to be shared. And I'm working on the next set of 7 books. And if you're an illustrator, I need a collage artist more than I need an actual illustrator. So you can see I use a lot from the history of animation and things like that. You bought my book? Oh my God, bless you. Oh yes, you did. I remember. Thank you. I remember seeing you sent me the picture of it. Thank you so much. I'm really proud of these books, and I made them with my. The artist for these was, she's a witch from Peru, an amazing visual artist, Sumac, and she's making beautiful art out of Florida now. And I don't know, it's really fun to see how things keep going. So, yes, if anyone had, and just for the people who have joined, the divination for tonight is, feel free to ask for an I Ching oracle card. If you say divination, I'll do an I Ching oracle card for you. I've also started doing I Ching readings. You can book that on my Linktree as well. It'd be the first... I've done a lot of these over the years. This is the first time I'm asking for pay for it. But I've done a lot for friends, and it's just such a powerful, simple system. It's words. We're wordy people. Sometimes we can get lost in tarot because the images are a little too subtle, but the I Ching really tells you how it is, especially because the history of the I Ching is often the sages or wise people of Chinese culture having to talk to the warlords, and that's why so often I believe the I Ching says, balance. Perhaps not overextend yourself. Because I think so often it was in the interest of the country for the advisors to the king to say, don't invade. Don't do that. Don't waste our energy that way. And so you can kind of see subtly how this was talking to power and trying to talk power down from a position of an advisor. So anyway, that's the I Ching, but also if you want to do Bibliomancy, I can pull a passage from Mark Chagall's version of the Bible. That's mostly the Old Testament. The Hermetica, the King James Version of the Bible, Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman, the Spirit's Book pulled together by Kardec, or the Nag Hammadi Scriptures as well. Didn't see the picture. Oh, but you sent I think you told me. But you've been enjoying the book? Thank you so much. Yeah, this one is a lot different, this version of my queer book, because I added some pages. Things were too cramped because it was the first book I had done like this. And I just spread them out and added more images, and it was fun. It was really fun. It's great for the narrator virgin. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. I feel myself somewhat on those spectrums, and so I know that the TikTok algo believes that I'm somewhere on a neurodivergent spectrum because all it's doing is trying to convince me of that all the time. I also suspect that's a good trick of the algorithm because it, it gets people in. If you're starting like, maybe I am neurodivergent, I just need to watch more videos. So anyway, it's the algorithm is fascinating. And we have a request for the King James Version of the Bible from Kate. All right, great. The first biblical divination tonight. Thank you to the Oracle. And for Kate, this page, Psalm 135. I think that's the one. Praise ye the Lord, praise ye the name of the Lord, praise him, O ye servants of the Lord. Ye that stand in the house of the Lord, in the courts of the house of our God, praise the Lord, for the Lord is good. I would say just replace this with whatever name you use for the oneness or the source. I know it gets very masculine language, but so often these are saying something really beautiful. It's just, it can be gendered or one-sided in its approach. Praise the Lord, for the Lord is good. Sing praise unto his name, for it is pleasant. For the Lord hath chosen Jacob unto himself, and Israel for his peculiar treasure. For I know that the Lord is great, and that the Lord is above all gods. Whoever the Lord pleased, that did he in heaven and in earth, in the seas and all the deep places. He causes the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightning for the rain. He bringeth the wind out of his treasuries. Who sent tokens and wonders into the midst of thee? Who smote great nations and slew mighty kings? For the Lord will judge his people, and he will repent himself concerning his servants. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. Talking about the enemies. They have ears, but they hear not. Neither is any breath in their mouth. They that make that like unto them, so is every one that trusteth in them. Bless the Lord, O house of Israel. Bless the Lord, O house of Aaron. Blessed be the Lord out of Zion, which dwelleth at Jerusalem. Praise ye the Lord. All right. So you can look up Psalm 35 again to read if you want to check it out. But to me, the part that grabbed me was, whoever the Lord pleased, that he did in heaven and in earth, in the seas and all the deep places. He caused the vapors to ascend from the end of the earth. He maketh lightning for the rain. He bringeth the wind out of his treasuries. It seems like something about the goodness that reigns. We get so lucky to be alive. Or, in scientific terms, the fine-tuned universe. That there are these couple of cosmological constants of, attraction force between protons and neutrons and a couple other numbers that if they were just slightly different, nothing about matter or life would be like this and life would be impossible. And it seems like, it feels scientifically like something about this universe was perfectly made to allow us to exist. Of course, maybe everyone in every universe thinks that because it feels that way. But something about this was created for us, and perhaps we are just the neurons and the retinal cells of the divinity so that they can look back on themselves. Anyway, hopefully that one works for you. Divination of the Bible is always a little bit trickier, but that's Psalm 135. Good. So for the people here, feel free to ask for an I Ching divination card. I'll be on for like another half hour or so. I've switched the time to starting at 2 p.m. Eastern because that's 8 o'clock here in France, and it's late enough with the kids. The kids are still falling asleep, and I still have to do dishes after this, and we have to go to bed. So I think 8 to 9 this time, or 2 to 3 is going to be more like what we do. So, for anyone who's new, feel free to ask for an I Ching card or divination out of Chagall's Bible, the Hermetica, the King James Version, Leaves of Grass, the Spiritist Book, or the Nag Hammadi Scriptures. And feel free to ask any questions about stuff on the wall or stuff you saw in my other videos. And let's just make sure my mom's not telling me something's wrong here. Yeah, okay, cool. Hermetica, please? All right, we can do the Hermetica. Okay, good, Kate. That worked? Great. Glad to hear it. The Bible's an amazing book. I'm actually, before I answer the Hermetica question, I made a video about this, but I've really been enjoying it. I want to get back to it. I started, David Bentley Hart's new translation of the New Testament. This is cool because what he was trying to do is simply put it in the most direct translation from the original text that he could. Like, not King James, no flourishes. If Revelations is a poorly written, like stilted writing style kind of book, that's how he translated it. He really tried to get the exact voice and exact word for word translation. He said he was a bit brutal about it. And Dan McClellan, if you're a fan of him, the biblical scholar who does such great work here on TikTok, I heard him mention that this was a very good job at doing what it was trying to do. I think for a biblical scholar like him, I mean, he's already reading the original text, he doesn't really need this. But for us, who don't read the original Aramaic or whatever, this is a really faithful translation of exactly what this book was trying to say. Which actually makes me think of more bibliomancy, but that's part of the fun here. Is I finally have my books somewhat in order after we've moved here now, and I can just grab them. And I think one of the best things I can do for all of you is just grab books and show you, because that's the original reason I started this TikTok anyway. And sometimes you get away from your roots, and this is the best part of it. So if you're into, I love coming back to Christianity. This is what I was raised in, and of course didn't like it for a long time, was an atheist, as the normal reaction when you grew up in conservative Christianity. Even though it was a nice church, it was nice people, but it's great to come back and realize, man, what a motherfucker Jesus was. I mean, that's what this book is really about. This Cotton Patches Parable of Liberation, I think the top guy, Clarence, he was a preacher in the South, and he went around saying, like, he would give his versions of the parables of Jesus, because storytelling is usually the best way to get into our heads. Most of us don't read philosophy and have it change us. Stories do. And he said Jesus' stories was like pulling a pin out of a grenade, throwing it over the shoulder, and then walking out. That's how powerful these stories were when you thought about what they were in the original context. And so if you want a really great version of what made Jesus so powerful and so upending the entire social order, this Cotton Patch Parables of Liberation is great. There's a musical version of this on YouTube or something. On YouTube, if you look this up, you'll find some cool versions of this to kind of get the idea of it. And speaking of Jesus, the main point that this guy, after this big giant translation, his main point was Jesus hated money. He's like, nothing else really surprised me that much, but I didn't realize how much Jesus hated everything to do with money. It wasn't like a little bit. It wasn't like, oh, it doesn't help you in life. It's like, this is what's awful about the world. And really, if we were being real Christians, we would be like really strict communists in this sharing everything, including your underwear kind of way. Which is not what most Christians want, and certainly what the powerhouse of the church doesn't want. Anyway, so a little aside on the Bible, and now Bibliomancy from the Hermetica. For someone who bought my book, thank you so much. All right, this is where my bookmark was, and I have lots of colors on this one because this is one of my books I put the notes right in it, and I use a color-coded system. So this is from the fifth discourse, Discourse of Hermes to Tat, his son, that God is invisible and entirely visible. So this is from the fifth line. Would that you could grow wings and fly up into the air, lifted between earth and heaven to see the solid earth, the fluid sea, the streaming rivers, the pliant air, the piercing fire, the coursing stars, and heaven speeding on its axis about the same points. Oh, this is a most happy sight to see, my child, to have a vision of all these in a single instant, to see the motionless set in motion, and the invisible made visible through the things that it makes. This is the order of the cosmos, and this is the cosmos of order. And you know what, I want to read the second part because this looks really good and feels relevant. If you wish also to see the vision through mortal things on earth and in the deep, my child, consider how the human being is crafted in the womb. Examine the skill of the craftwork carefully, and learn who is it that crafts this beautiful, godlike image of mankind. Who traced the line round the eyes? Who pierced the holes from nostrils and ears? Who opened the mouth? Who stretched up the sinews and tied them down? Who made channels for the veins? Who hardened the bones? Who drew skin over the flesh? Who parted the fingers? Who flattened the bottoms of the feet? Who cut the passages for the pores? Who stretched out the spleen? Who made the heart in the form of a pyramid? Who joined the ribs together? Who flattened the liver? Who hollowed out the lungs? Who made the belly spacious? Who set the most honored parts in relief to make them visible, but hid the shameful parts away? See how many skills have been applied to the single, same material. How many labors within the compass of a single work, all of them exquisite things, all finely measured, yet all different. So this is a beautiful meditation on, how lucky we are to be here and how perfectly it seems for us. And for me, the part that stands out is the question that I've been getting a ton lately from different people here on this app, which is, how do I find my own deities to add to my pantheon? And I've tried making that video a couple of times of the books that I have on that, but it's only so much the books. Books are a great place to grab onto it, and I have some on the traditions that I care about, but I think so much of it is just grabbing on the things that already make sense to you. And for me, if you see the color coding, if you see the color coding here, to me, this is actually pretty much what I worship. Basically, these forces of nature. It's one of the reasons I like Ifa so much, is because it's not gods, it's the actual forces of nature that you're praying to. Would that you could grow wings and fly up into the air, lifted between earth and heaven, to see the solid earth, Mother Earth, the fluid sea, the emotions, the mother, the streaming rivers, the honey juiciness that makes life worth living, sex, the pliant air, that energy of sweet whispers of wind as well as storms, the piercing fire, this is my year to be the king of fire according to my cards, the coursing stars, and the heavens. And I think in a lot of traditions there is a tradition of being a star hunter, of the hunter being the one who not only hunts the animals but is a magician who hunts the stars as well. And there's something about worshiping the actual forces of nature that makes a lot of sense. And I think oftentimes all you need to do is find the name that you want to use. And that can be something from Greek mythology because it's what you grew up with reading and it's fun, or a tradition more close to your own family lineage. But I think the four directions, the four elements are a great way to go to start building out your own pantheon. And you can start adding more on top of that. Each element can have its own gender or three genders. And I think the idea of the Hermetica, especially in the Latin, I never know how to say it, Asclepius, the last part of it, in that is a memory palace. And I mean, that's what made this whole Hermetic memory wall happen, is that you're supposed to build a memory palace in your head in the Hermetic tradition, with about 40 statues in it. You have a beautiful palace that you can walk through in your head if you have a visual mind like that. I know my father and one of my best friends has no visuals inside their head at all. They can't recognize faces. It's a very different world. I still think you can do something like a memory palace, but I don't quite know how, and I think it's a different kind of method. But I have a very visual brain. I can walk through a lot in my head, so this always made sense to me. But that just being said, there are different ways to build memory palaces, and yours might be quite particular to you. But in general, what they talk about in this is build a memory palace you can actually see in your head, and start putting up statues in it of the things that are the most important to you. The forces of nature is great, the social justice concepts that matter to you, the things that were always in your diaries and dictionaries as a journals as a kid. That's the kind of stuff where you put your first statues in and you just start hanging more and more ideas on them. And because memory is based most of all on association and attention, those are the two daemons that help. Daemons? I never say it. Demons? That by constantly coming back and just reviewing what's in that palace and then hanging more ideas on it as you go. Oh, here's a great quote about that idea. Let me hang that on this statue, either physically on your wall or your digital filing system, or do it in your head if you have a memory that good. So I think there's a lot to be said for building a memory palace. And so hopefully you found that Hermetica helpful. That was the fifth discourse and the fifth paragraph of the fifth discourse. So daemons, I don't know, fucking words, pronunciation. I don't believe in pronunciation anymore, especially because I'm in France. France. Anyway, I got another 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. Your name is Damon? That's great. That's really great. If that was a crafty nod from your parents to Damon's, that's great. And if it wasn't, even better. I think sometimes our parents do magic with our names and they don't even quite realize it. There's a lot going on with Lex. I don't think my parents realized. They didn't even know they were going to call me Lex. That's not really my name. For the people who are here, for anyone in the last time who wants a divination from the I Ching, I have the oracle cards out. I also, from the Bible, the Hermetica, Leaves of Grass, the Spiritist book, or the Nag Hammadi scriptures. So feel free to ask for any of those. Damon, so it's a gift. It is a gift. That's a great name. I think it's one of the most helpful ideas from, when I started looking into the history of folklore and these alchemists who were doing this work, and also in the Sufi tradition, in the Islamic tradition, there are people working with jinns. There are people working with these daemons. And I have not started that path because, I often say around here, I'm only 40, and I feel like 44 is the year where I'm ready to actually start practicing this stuff. I need more, I think I need more time to train, and I like that, Buddhists take 20 years to get their PhD. But it makes sense to me that there are spirits out there that you can really talk to and get a working relationship with. You see it in the history of folklore, certain fairy folk that would visit certain people, but they would visit the people whose houses were kept clean, literally and metaphorically. It's part of the reason I keep this house as nice as I can with having 2 little kids is I believe it invites the blessings of spirits that you can't see. And maybe someday I'll be working with spirits that I can see. And so I do think there's ways to have intercourse there, but I also think you have to be really ready for it, and there's a lot of tricksters out there ready to take advantage of you. When you think about all the scammers on the internet, I think it's a really great metaphor for how the spirit world works. The internet and all this tech is absolutely fantastic for doing the things you want to do, but also every new iteration of it allows for a new way for the system to get screwed and for dark forces to try to do something dark, and you have to be wary about that. If you're interested in that, the book to read, I can see it. There's such a deep history between technology and gnosis and wisdom. And so the book is Eric Davis, who's a friend actually, and he's just a great writer. This book's 20 years old now, but it's amazing on what technology, both the history of it through humanity and also since the 60s, there's this huge tech utopian side. And he really knows how to be cynical about that, but also see it for the people who really believed in it beautifully as well. All right. So we have Bibliomancy for Ask a Milspouse, and then would love a reading. All right, cool, Woodstock. We'll get you a I Ching card, but first we'll do the Bible. And like I said, I'm starting to do I Ching readings. It's in my Linktree. Also, my Linktree is the Discord, which I would love if you join. It's more people talking about stuff like this, and also my books are back up for sale. So the Bible, King James. So this is for. Where'd the name go? Ask a Milspouse. Okay, for your question, thank you to the Oracle. Ask a Milspouse. Here, Daniel 9. Okay, Daniel. In the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which had made over the realm of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans are one of the most famous magicians of the ancient world, for whatever that matters. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. And I set my face unto the Lord to seek by prayer and supplications with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed unto the Lord, and made my confession, and said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that loves him, and to them that keep his commandments. We have sinned and have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgments. O Lord, righteousness belongs unto thee, but unto us confusions of faces, as at this day to the men of Judah, and to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem that are near and that are far. Because of their trespass, they have trespassed against thee. To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against him. Interesting. So, the first thing I think of is that what was said earlier in the Hermetica is that God is both visible and invisible in this world. And the other part that it said was that none of the things we do are actually judged against us because we're so not sharp that things aren't held against us. That oh, Lua, thanks for the gift. Thanks for the rose. Things aren't held against us. The only thing that's held against us is irreverence, and that's what the Israelites here were being punished for. It was for losing their track of what mattered. And he was using his magic. He was using prophecy to find out how long the punishment was going to be for their irreverence. It was 70 years, and he's asking for mercy here. And so, for whatever question you might have had here, the idea of, A, you were doing the best you could at the time, and B, you can make things right. You work with your spirit, you work with your oneness and yourself, and to write something. And then you might not have to spend 70 years under the rule of the Medes. So that is Daniel chapter 9. If you want to read more. And we have an I Ching card coming for Woodstock, and for everyone else who wants a I Ching card, the Bible, the Hermetica, Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, the Spirit's Book, or the Nag Hammadi Scriptures. Folks throw like some gifts. The dude's a legend. Oh, thanks, Woodstock. Maggie, your name is. Hi, Maggie. Good to see you. Cool. Thanks for this soap spot for me. Oh, good. Thank you. Glad you liked that reading. That was interesting. The Book of Daniel. I mean, okay, that's the one that's Bibliomancy. This will be the last Bibliomancy, I'm sure. Where is that secret knot? One of the strangest, most interesting books in my life. Here it is. This is called Dispensational Truth by Clarence Larkin. As a young Christian, this was one of the first books that ever got me into the weirdness of the world, because he was an engineer / draftsman, and he took all the prophecies of the Bible and lined them all up in stuff like this. And of course, the Book of Daniel comes up a ton. And look at this. I have this all covered in 10 marks, like the times in the sea. It is. I can picture the Daniel one. I've seen this stuff so much. If you're, this I believe is free online. I think there's versions of it. This is an absolutely fabulous book. Daniel 7th week. Okay, here's one from Daniel. Here's Daniel on the tribulation. And so it's just all the weirdness that's in the Bible, and some of those books that people aren't even sure why they're there. He just laid out everything about the millennial, the end times, according to the great books like Daniel. So if you want a really weird, fascinating, apocalyptic Christian book, Dispensational Truth by Clarence Larkin is just wonderful. All right, Woodstock. My humble buddy. Okay, a card for Woodstock. Thank you to the Oracle. Thank you to the I Ching. And the card for you, my friend, is this one, 49. Get my little... Get the book out. Okay. And feel free if you have any questions about the I Ching, too. I think it's one of the most important things ever put together by humans. So, happy to answer questions about it. So, here you see number 49, and if you look at the family system, up on top, the 3 lines is Tui, the lake. That's the youngest sister, so that's usually joyfulness. And then the the bottom one is fire. That's the middle sister. So you have the youngest sister over the middle sister, lake over fire. And so the name of the hexagram is Ko, or revolution. So fire in the lake, the battle of light and dark. Ooh. The light of fire strives upward as the dark lake presses down. They seem intent on mutual destruction, yet this is the same battle of light and dark that plays out in the seasonal changes. What may seem like a revolution against the natural order may in fact be its fulfillment. The time calls for a testing of intention and purpose, whether evolution or revolution. Wow. Okay, that's a big one. The light of fire strives upward as the dark lake presses downward. So, yeah, think about it. It's not... This isn't exactly talking about an easy time for you. You have a lake on top of a fire, so it's not quite the natural order of things. But it can be. But that means it can change and lead to a revolution or an evolution. The nice part is when you have the lake on top, that's a lot of joy. I mean, that's good stuff. And the fire of Li, the middle sister, can be righteous, can be burning off of the sloth. Like in alchemy, the fire is the great purifier. So this, you could almost think of like a joyful revolution, a joyful purification, is what I would think with this. And so that is number 49, so you can look that one up online as well to get more. Cool. Yeah, good, Woodstock. Thanks, Oracle. Thanks, Ching. Good, so hopefully that one helped. One for me, please. A bad mental day and could use some direction. Okay, Amila, well, sending lots of love and light from here. I hope your day gets better. Thanks for joining us today. I'll do a card, and hopefully this will help with the question right now. So for Amila, thank you to the Oracle, thank you to the I Ching, and your card is, it's the one below here. That's the one that popped. 26. Okay, so there's 26. Good, and such nice pictures in this deck too. This is one of the gifts from Llewellyn. They sent me a free box of stuff, which is wonderful because they're just a great publisher and they have great stuff. 26 is the Taming Power of the Great. So above is the oldest son, mountain, and below, right, it's the youngest son, sorry, but mountain. And then below is heaven. So you see it's 3 male lines. That's the father figure. That's the heaven. So usually when you have him in there, it's usually a good thing in general. So the Taming Power of the Great. Heaven within the mountain, sustained creativity. That's a very good card. Heaven is a great creative force. The mountain is stability and steadiness. This is the taming power of the great. Discipline and method that sustains creativity and gives it form. Daily renewal of good habits requires strength of character. This leads to success. The divine spirit finds satisfaction and manifesting great work. So this is a really positive. Oh, you buy a lot from Llewellyn? Great, good for you. Yeah, so that's where this came from. And you got a really good card here, but it's not an easy card. And I really feel called out by it as well, because it's good habits. It's like good habits is what leads to sustained success. I've heard the phrase that you underestimate what you can get done you overestimate what you can get done in 1 year, but you underestimate what you can get done in 10 years. And as someone who has struggled with addiction a lot in my life and am in recovery, and also with the distraction of the modern age and like building good habits and having kids, I really struggle for good habits and taking care of myself. It's why I think I keep getting the Chariot card, because it's about balancing the mind, body, and spirit. And I forgot about this body thing when I have so much work to do and books to read about spirituality, but you have to work on the body side as well. So this is a really good card. This is, what did it say? The line I really liked was this one, the great creative force and the stability and steadiness. The divine spirit finds satisfaction in manifesting great works. It's satisfying to get this done, even though the call of everything else can be so much more alluring. The dopamine hits of scrolling, taking something, but the payoff of this is so much greater. But this is one of the things I preach and I'm not great at, but I'm trying. I'm trying to manifest this card as well. So hopefully, the Chariot is your card? Yeah, you hear me, you know it. So yeah, this is a really good card. And by the way, for anyone who got a reading, this video is going to go up on YouTube. Like I put it up tonight or tomorrow, so you can watch this stuff again. But this was number 26 if you want to look it up online. So I'll be on here for another couple of minutes. It's getting close to bedtime here. Last call is if you want to do a divination, we have Ching cards. And then for Bibliomancy, Mark Chagall's version of the Bible. I'll end with one of these at least because they're beautiful pictures. King James version of the Bible, Hermetica. Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, the Spiritus book pulled together by Kardec, and the Nag Hammadi scriptures. So yeah, I really feel thanks Amila, that's really sweet with the heart. And yeah, I'm really glad you got a card like that. That's really cool. That's and I hope you have a good day. I hope your day gets better. Sending lots of love from light here. Which is my grandmother's line, which is part of the reason it means so much to me. Sending lots of love and light. It's a really nice way to think about it, especially from a woman who is not mystic at all. I mean, she was very practical, help kind of love. And so for her to say I send love and light wasn't really quite in her character. It's funny she signed off all of her letters that way and said it a lot. But who knows, Graham? Who knows? She's over there, her picture at least. And a card for Luau. Wait, great, sure, good to see you there. All right, so this is going to be one of the last readings. A card for Luau. Thank you to the Oracle. Thank you to the I Ching. This is the card, the underneath one. 49. Did we get that one before? All right. Okay. Wait. Wrong language. Oh, this is one we just got. Okay, you got the same card. I did a good shuffle, but you got the same card we just got. This is Revolution. This is the card that Woodstock got. Co. So on top you have the lake, and below you have the fire. And I'll read it one more time because it was such a good one. Fire in the lake, the battle of light and dark. The light of fire strives upward as the dark lake presses down. They seem intent on mutual destruction, yet this is the same battle of light and dark that plays out in the seasonal changes. What may seem like a revolution against a natural order may in fact be its fulfillment. The time calls for a testing of intention and purpose, whether evolution or revolution. So, I don't know exactly what that means to you, but sometimes when they're that strong, I think it usually, you get what it means right away. So some kind of revolution or evolution, and that's that joyful spirit of the lake on top and that fiery purification underneath. You can almost think of it like a cauldron. In fact, you know, this fire heating up that lake. So this is number 49 in case you want to look that up later. All right. So and make sure it didn't. Okay. Always make sure my mom's not texting me that something's wrong on the feed. All right, cool. Yeah, just going to be wrapping up here. If you have any more divination cards or questions here, I did want to share one last thing. Where'd it go? So from that Llewellyn thing, I want to highlight these because I really think they're great. If you're into alchemy, I wanted to highlight these two books that came out, Alchemy or the Tree of Life. So what's cool is this is Israel Regardie's Tree of Life book, an illustrated study in magic. This is a really, sometimes the recreations of old books, they just do a terrible job with the pictures and the layout. This one's fantastic. As someone who steals old books and uses their imagery in my graphic novels, sorry, this is mirrored, so it's hard for me to do. The quality of the images in here is really well done. They obviously got the originals and did a really great job. And Israel Regardie is such a mensch. He's the link between the Golden Dawn magicians of 100 years ago and the modern movement, because he's the only one who was inducted into the original Golden Dawn, then came out to California and inducted some people out there. So that's the only reason there's an unbroken lineage between the Golden Dawn of then and now, is just because of him. And so he's a historian, but he's also a practitioner who really believes it and gets into it. And so much of what the Golden Dawn did was work with the Tree of Life. And For them, it was memorizing all of this. Not only just memorizing the information on each of the Sephira, but also all the connections in between them, what all the tarot meant, all of the symbols on each of the tarot, how the astrology related to all of that. And I don't have all of that memorized. I work with a lot of systems, and I kind of look for how the patterns of them overlap more than I do analyze one system to the very end. I guess I do that with science in a sense, because that's what I study the most. But this is so integral to so much of what people do for modern magic, is getting to know this tree of life. And this is, Israel Gardy's take on it. And the cool part is, this is edited by, the names are Cheek and Sandra Cicero. And they knew Regarde personally. And so he initiated them. They worked together a long time, and then they're the ones that are putting his book together for Llewellyn. So it's really a great version of this book. And even cooler, the one I started with is this book, Gold, which is his alchemy book. The thing is, this wasn't published. I just read the intro last night. He wrote this, but this whole thing is about how alchemy is only a spiritual practice. People started working with trying to turn metal into gold, and then they realized, oh, that's not it. It's yourself you're working on. And maybe eventually you get to the point you have a superpower, you tell lead to turn into gold, and that's how they actually did it. Which is what I actually think was the truth. But then he wrote this book, it's great, and then he went and he saw an actual functioning alchemy lab that was in Colorado, and he realized, oh no, physical alchemy is real too. This isn't just a spiritual practice. They actually were changing things in a way that is repeatable and still being done today. So he just never published this. This manuscript sat in his friend's desk for 30 years, and then the friend mentioned it to the Ciceros, and then they cleaned it up and republished it, or published it for the first time. So it's a great piece. The only reason Regarde didn't want to use this was because he realized it dismissed physical alchemy when you shouldn't dismiss physical alchemy. But it's still one of the great thinkers talking about spiritual alchemy and what that means. And so this is a great book. In fact, I think I'm going to do 3 10-minute videos where I just walk through this glossary and the things that catch my eye in the glossary, because the glossary is put together by the Ciceros, who are great at this, and they've written a dozen books on this kind of stuff, so their glossaries are amazing and well practiced. And so I think this is a great this is going to be a really great intro to alchemy and how that relates to the history of science. Alchemy is a catalyst of chemistry. Absolutely. As a scientist, this stuff, it's such a great way to learn about the history of what I care about comes from, and how there was, for such a long time, there was not a divorce between mysticism and science. It was people like Newton. It was right there on top of each other. Some of these people are madmen. A lot of the early quantum physicists, they saw that there was a mystical philosophical component here that wasn't being explored, and still isn't. That still gets ignored, except by guys like Nick Herbert, the hippies who saved physics guy. Tesla being another one. Yeah, absolutely. Good catch. Good. Make sure I didn't. So I got everybody's divination. Okay, cool. Great. So I think that's it for divination. Unless anyone else wants one more. But it's just getting time for me to wrap up. The last piece of divination I will do is I will show you a picture from. Oh, this one. I'll show you a picture. So this is a beautiful little book. This was back when I had more money than I do now, because I was a man who knew how to get things in Brooklyn. So I ordered a lot of books that I really loved. But this is the Bible by Marc Chagall, the great artist, the great Jewish artist. This is Genesis, Exodus, and the Song of Solomon, and he illustrated them. And it's wonderful. It's put together by Chronicle Books. And so the page I opened up to is this one. Let's see if you can see it. But this is the last image I'll leave with you. Marc Chagall from his version of the Bible. So, there you go. Beautiful book. All right, everybody, it's time for me to head to bed. Catch up with the kids. But thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's always a pleasure to see all of you, and it's really fun to see what comes out with this divination. I know it's as fascinating and helpful for me as it is for you. and hopefully for you. And so thanks so much for joining. If you're into this stuff, the Discord is where you can really find me. It's because TikTok sucks for making community. Like, just because you follow me doesn't mean you see my videos. It's too bad. So feel free to join on YouTube. I'm cross-posting there now, so you'll see all the videos come out. I also do a lot of education on there about this plant, which I will not name, but this is my day job. This is what I do for my own business, is I do education about this plant. If you're into this plant, I do a newsletter called Cannabinoids and the People that comes out every Tuesday, and it's free, and it's like 8,000 words a week on all the new science that comes out. I really put my heart into that one. So it's more than most people want to read, but the best of has a really great selection of the best science that comes out this week. So yeah, those books are free on my website, or you can also buy the queer book on Amazon. So that's in Linktree. Yeah, I think that's all the announcements. Except that from now on, I'm going to start doing these at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. here in France, just to make it easier for family stuff. And so the last thing I'll do is I'll tap on this keeps telling me to tap on the screen to do this filter so you can see whatever its stupid thing is, and there you go. Finally, you can filter me. All right, that's a pretty good one. I mean, that's not at all what I look like, but I don't mind. If I was that like French and handsome looking, I wouldn't mind. So, all right, that's it. Thanks everybody. I'm gonna sign this off, and hopefully I will see you again soon. All right, bye-bye.